Here.
Henry,
You're live.
Here.
DeGiulio,
Here.
Fratello,
Here.
Visconti,
Still here.
Palmer. Oh, Palmer wasn't here before. Knapp,
Here.
John Esposito,
Here.
Santos,
Present.
Perkins,
Present.
Genesi,
Present.
Camissa.
Here.
Okay, so Molinaro and Palmer were not here. We've lost Levy.
Mr. Bouzade is on, Madam Clerk.
I'm
And
sorry.
Mr. Bouzade is on. He's present.
Okay. All right.
We're just
How about Mr. Levy?
waiting to get Mr. Levy out. Working on reconnecting right now.
Okay.
You're on.
Okay, Mayor Caldwell, can you hear me, Bob Tabersack?
Yep, Bob,
Yes,
we
we
have
can.
you. Yep.
Okay, we're working now.
Okay, all right, thank you. We're having a lot of trouble.
We have you, Mr. Tabersack.
Thank you.
Just Mr. Levy's trying to get
Warren's on.
on. Warren's on?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have
Sure.
19 members. Hi, Warren. We have 19 members back present. Okay, folks, I'm really sorry about that. It's one of the perils of these Zoom meetings. Unfortunately, the new law, July 1st, for the Zoom meetings required that we gave out the link, and obviously hackers are abound, and we pretty responsible getting it shut down, but unfortunately they got in and we cleared the meeting. But thank you all for your patience and your understanding, and I'm going to move into Madam Clerk, item number 7, please.
Okay, you want me to start from the beginning?
Please, let's start over from the beginning so we have it for.
Okay. Okay, so item 7 was donation Lions Club, Browan Street Children's Park. Dear Mayor and members of the City Council, as many of you know, the Lions Club of Danbury was the original Parks Authority in our city, beginning perhaps 70 plus years ago or more, when the Lions established several playgrounds for our children throughout the city. Recently, when the Danbury Hospital took over the land comprising the Lions Locust Avenue Park, the city, excuse me, in effect, in exchange, therefore, gave us the use of a new park, the Rowan Street Lions Playground. As president of the Lions Club of Danbury, I noticed that there was very few, if any, trees in the new playground and insufficient signage, etc. So I applied to the Lions Club International in Chicago for a grant for funds with which to acquire several large flowering or other trees and plantings and signage and other improvements. We were approved for a grant in the amount of $3,410.25. The estimated total cost of this improvement project will be approximately $7,300. So in addition to the aforesaid $3,410.25 grant, the Danbury Lions Club is also contributing an additional $3,889.75 out of our own treasury, excuse me, towards this project for a contribution total of $7,300. Accordingly, I respectfully request that the City Council approve and accept this donation of $7,300 to be used for this important project. We plan to work with the Park and Rec Department and any city and other city officials. And when the project is completed, we plan to hold a grand opening and celebration for the children and other neighbors in the Rowan Street areas. Thank you in advance for your consideration, and please feel free to call me at any time. Very truly yours, Honorable Diane E. Yammon, President, Lions Club of Danbury.
Hey, thank you.
Your
Madam-
Honor.
What's your, Mrs. Stanley?
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to receive the communication to approve and accept the donation from the Lions Club International in Chicago for the funds in the amount of $3,410.25, as well as the contribution from the Danbury Lions Club Treasury of $3,889.75, totaling $7,300 to be used for the purchase of several large trees, planting, signage, and other improvements, and send a letter of thanks.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded by John Esposito. Under discussion for this generous donation. Seeing none, I'll try your minds. All those in favor signify by saying aye or give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mr. Levy, did you have a comment?
I did. Sorry, I know there's a lot of pictures up on the screen, so, but I just wanted to say that this is consistent with what the Lions have do right along and in supporting many, many local projects, along with their scanning of all the children, over 6,000 children in the school system for their eyesight. They are currently getting ready to hold a golf tournament, which all that money goes into either the educational fund of the mayors or it goes back into the community one way or another. So this is just one of the numerous things that the Lions Club do for the city of Danbury, as many of our social clubs contribute as well. But this is one of, I'm a member of the Lions, as many of the city officials are as well. So we're happy to make this contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Levy. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just very
Sure.
quickly, Mr. Levy mentioned a few things there that
Can I
just,
opine real quick, Jennifer? The meeting, we got hacked, the council meeting got hacked, so we had to restart from a point, so the
Ben.
meeting got delayed.
Mr. Cheney, your mic is on. Thank you. Mr. Santos, you have the floor.
yeah, I'm sorry there, sir. I just, Mr. Levy's comments made me think, the Lions Club, I certainly appreciate what they're doing here for us. And the work that they do in our schools is such a benefit for us. My daughter, we only realized that she needed glasses was thanks to a few Lions Club volunteers that came to her school and did free eye exams. And she was able to see much better. We had no clue, and neither did she. So just a very heartfelt thank you to the Lions Club for all that they're doing for our community, along with all the other social groups. But for this donation specifically, just wanted a word of thanks.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Santos. Appreciate those words. Anybody else on this item? Seeing none, I'll try your minds. All those in favor of accepting this donation signify by saying aye or give me a thumbs up. Okay, anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, item number 8.
Number 8, resolution, solar
Aye.
project. Would you like me to read?
Yes, please, Madam Clerk, please proceed.
Okay. Over the past several months, the city's Energy Efficiency Committee, comprised of city and Board of Education staff, have been working with the city's engineer and energy consultant with Johnson Controls Incorporated to identify, evaluate, and subsequently recommend a project that would be energy efficient and cost effective for the city of Danbury. To summarize the attached supporting project documentation and the committee's recommendation, the project will comprise of the installation of 6 solar PV arrays on 5 Board of Education buildings: Danbury High School, Danbury High School Carport, Broadview Middle School, Rogers Park Middle School, West Side Middle School Academy, and King Street Primary, and the city library. State grants, ZREC, which is Zero Emission Renewable Energy Certification Program, credit, and future electronic savings will fund this green project. The city's Board of Awards granted approval for the city to enter into a project development agreement with JCI on May 26, 2021. In short, JCI has been hired for a fixed fee of $97,642 to provide engineering services and design plans of the systems, prepare schematic drawings and outline specifications for the solar panel installation, assist with submitting the necessary grant applications, including Form SCG-1045, and paperwork to the State Office of School Construction Grants and any other necessary paperwork. The city will have no obligation to pay this fee if JCI and the city enters into the project implementation agreement within 60 days after the city receives grant approval from the state. The $97,642 is encumbered and certified. The proposed $13.1 million project cost will be funded primarily with state grant funds. It's $8 million and future electric savings of $5.1 million over a period of approximately 9 years. If the state grants are awarded and the city moves forward with this project, a master lease agreement will be needed to cover initial net outlay of $5.1 million. The annual electric savings combined with the ZREC credits apply toward the lease payments. The Board of Education will retain the associated electric savings of approximately $700,000 each year after the final lease payment. Please note that these are just estimates at this time. Please feel free to contact me should you require any information. And this comes from David St. Hilaire, Director of Finance.
Hey, Madam Clerk, thank you. What's your pleasure, council?
Your Honor.
Mr. Knapp?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to receive the communication and refer an act and ask to be in attendance the Director, Superintendent of Schools from Johnson Controls, and the city's engineer consultant from NV5.
Okay, so you blinked in and out of there for a second on the audio, Mr. Knapp, so I'm going to say Corporation Counsel, Director of Finance, City Engineer, Representative from Johnson Control, Representative from the Mayor's Office, the Interim Superintendent of Schools, and our consultant from NV5. Is
That's
that
correct.
okay? Good.
Yes, sir.
Kind of went
Second.
warbly there on us for a minute. Okay, so we have a motion for an ad hoc.
To referral.
Seeing no objection is so ordered. The ad hoc will consist of Mr. Levy in the chair, Mr. Fox, and Mr. Chianese. Madam Clerk, item number 9.
Resolution, refunding of general obligation funds. An advance refunding of general obligation funds is an important debt management tool that municipalities use to lower borrowing costs and take advantage of lower interest rates that lead to interest cost savings. It is important that the city maintain the proper authorization so that we may readily react to bond market fluctuations to take advantage of opportunities as they arise for interest rate savings. The city has approximately $27 million of existing bonds, which may be eligible for refunding under the right market conditions. As you may recall, approximately $390,000 of interest savings was realized on $7.8 million of refunded bonds last year. The previous authorization from April 2020 has expired. The attached resolution will provide the city with the necessary authorization to respond to such savings opportunities as they arise. The resolution requests an amount not to exceed $27 million of the City of Danbury general obligation refunding bonds with respect to the authorization, issuance, and sale. This amount anticipates a certain amount of interest rate changes and the possibility of including additional refunding bonds if it is in the best interest of the city at the time of the sale. The Department of Finance has updated the official statement, which is a formal document associated with bond sales, and is prepared to issue a bond refunding during July if an opportunity exists under approval of the attached refunding resolution. I respectfully request that the City Council consider providing the authorization to move forward at the July regular meeting with the refunding resolution that will allow us to take advantage of the savings opportunity if or when presented. Please be assured that even if authorization is given, the sale will only occur if it is determined at the sale date that the terms and conditions of the sale are financially beneficial to the city. Please feel free to contact me should you require additional information. Thank you, David St. Hilaire, Director of Finance.
Mr. Levy,
Your Honor, I make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to effectuate issuance and sale of the City of Danbury, Connecticut general obligation refund bonds not to exceed $27 million.
Second.
motion made and seconded by Mr. Visconti. Under discussion. Seeing none,
Second.
seeing none, I'll try your minds. All those in favor signify by saying aye or give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Folks, if I could, I'd just like to
Mayor
pass.
Cobble, Mayor
Yes,
Cobble.
Mr. Tabersack. Mr. Tabersack?
I think he froze, Mayor.
Okay. We'll see if he can get back on. At this time, I'd like to just move on to the department reports.
Okay, no, I've been having, and I just wanted to make a comment, but it doesn't matter. It was already passed. I've been having trouble with it.
Yeah, you're having some audio and video problems there, Mr. Tabersack, but go ahead. Try to make your
Can you
comment.
hear me, Mr. Mayor?
It's a little sketchy, but go ahead. Let's see if we can get it in.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't think it's working, Mr. Tabersack. Okay, let's move on to department reports.
Your Honor,
Mr. DiGilio,
yes, I make a motion that we waive the reading of the department reports as all members of the council have the copies. The copies are on file in the clerk's office.
Second.
okay, motion made and seconded by Mr. Perkins.
Okay, well, I'm gonna skip and
Mr. Tabersack, I'm sorry, but we can't understand what you're saying.
go to the department reports. I just wanted, okay, I just wanted to say that I've been on the board, the council a limited time, but I think Mr. St. Hilaire has done a very good job with okay, all righty, and let me just see, and it still says that I'm not muted, so, okay.
Right. Anything else, Mr. Tabersack? Mr. Tabersack, are you all set? Okay, so we're at the point of approving the departmental reports. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. Looks like the motion carries unanimously. I just wanted to mention that, we have David St. Hilaire here. I had the great pleasure to sit on a ratings call with both our bonding companies, Fitch and Standard & Poor.
Can you hear me out?
And it was very interesting. It was like being called to the principal's office. David will probably agree with that. But I'm happy to say that Standard & Poor rated us as a AA+ as they had in the past. And on the Fitch, we were rated AAA. And some of the comments from some of the rating agencies were that the rating reflects our opinion of Danbury's very strong management. The outlook on all long-term ratings is very stable. Danbury maintains a very strong capacity to pay principal and interest when the notes come due. And congratulations to Mr. St. Hilaire for his team and the work that he does to ensure that, Danbury receives the best available rates on bonding money that we can get. And it's never more important as we go out for these projects like the Career Academy and the refunding. And Mr. St. Hilaire, did you want to comment on anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I want to comment on the rates that we got, which were incredible. They were phenomenal. On the ban that we issued, the $50 million ban, we received 10 bids, and the net interest cost, which is really a combination of the premium and the face value interest cost, is really ended up being 0.1164. So what that means is for the a bond anticipation note, which is a 1-year loan, essentially, we're paying about $58,000 on $50 million. So yeah, that's we've never seen rates this low. And in our bond counsel, our financial advisor, and many others haven't seen rates in all the towns that they've issued in a long while. Our rates were the lowest. So this is pretty remarkable. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch was the winning bid. And we had bids going from 0.11 to 0.19 on 10 bids. So great job in everyone. The $12 million bond, which is a 10-year bond, we had 12 bids. And, the total interest cost is 0.9, I'll just round it, 0.917. And that the winning bid was from Janie Montgomery Scott. And again, a phenomenal, that's under 1%. So that's over 10 years, that is the net interest cost. A 10-year bond under 1%, is phenomenal. The coupons on that was 4%, or 2 to 4%. But again, we had the range was 0.91 to 1.04. So they're grouped together. That's reflective of a phenomenal market, but also reflective of the great job you're all doing in keeping things in check, and of course all the departments. And it really, there's not one thing. It's a collection of everything that's being done by the great policies and decisions that are being made by the city of Danbury, by the government, but also as the city at large. So great job to all of you. We're doing a refunding, as you know. The reason why you had that on the agenda tonight was because the prior authorization did expire at the end of June, and we are going out for another 22 to 25 million. We put it up to 27 only just in case, but we do expect to go out by the end of July. And we do expect to see about at least $2 million of savings on that. Those refundings are from the 2011 to 2012 bonds. Again, we've issued 7 of these refundings since 2010. And on those 7, we've had about $6.6 million of savings on $125 million of refunded bonds. And that's helped us tremendously in managing our debt service costs over the years, and this next refunding will do the same. That combined with the low rates that we're getting, it does really matter, helping us continue our rather robust capital program. And, whether it's adding schools or paving roads, it all, comes together here. I would encourage you to go to the website This is a shameless plug, but I would encourage you to go to it. buydanburybonds.com. If you want to know anything about this, we work very hard on this website. Individuals can't buy Danbury bonds. Unfortunately, they're sold by institutions. But it does. It's a very it's a very informative website, and we do update it regularly. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, let me know. Anything else, Mr. Mayor? Or thank you, by the way, for joining us for both the ratings call and the sales call.
Not a problem.
They're exciting, isn't it? To see all those bids come in. And you know, we're all trying to guess to see what the market's doing that day. And I think we've timed it perfectly. And, you know, with our, our advisors, our bond counsel at Robson and Cole, and, you know, of course, our FAA at Phoenix Advisors, they do a great job for us. So we want to thank them as well, along with my staff, you know, Dan Garrick and Tanya and everyone in my office. So.
David, thank you. And thank you to your staff, and thank you to all our department heads for your understanding and your work through the budget, and to the council for your foresight and your ability to see that, you know, fiscal management pays off for us in the long run. It helps us afford to do the things a lot of cities and towns can't afford to do. When I was in one of those meetings, I had heard that another city town in Connecticut had just bonded $300 million to cover pension obligations. And I thought I would have just probably died if I was the mayor and had to go out for a bonding of $300 million to cover our pension obligations. It just boggles my mind. So
Mayor, people are doing, you know, we're considering, there'll be something on the agenda in probably the coming months, is to refi our leases. So, you know, it's a right time to do that, you know, to keep the costs down. You know, it's everything's on the table, right?
So 1% is almost free money. And so
it is.
You know, it allows us to do a lot of things, get a lot of things done. So.
Yep.
Folks, that's it. Anybody have anything else?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a follow-up to what Mr. St. Hilaire just said. We were talking about this in caucus last night, making tributes to your financial expertise and savvy. I was just wondering, based on some of the things you just said, would it be prudent, sensible to borrow at these incredibly low rates now, take the money and pay off some of our higher rate bonds and keep a little bit in the bank as cash?
That's exactly what we're doing right now, Mr. Perkins.
Yeah, put on my light.
Yes, and you know, a lot of the technical stuff that we're doing, what you just said is really what we're doing. We're buying down our high interest debt, and we're exchanging it for a low interest debt, and that's what a refunding is. Essentially, we would what I just suggested on the leases. If you go in the budget book, you'll see what the lease rates are there. We can combine those and get a much lower rate and save a few $100,000 over the next 5 years.
Okay.
And so because it is the timing is perfect right now to do that. Now, there may be some restrictions. We have to look at each individual lease on whether we can in fact do that, because if you recall back in 2010, you know, there was a tax exempt lease or a taxable lease that we did. So we have to, that's where bond counsel and we have to look at each lease individually to make sure that we can in fact call them and refi. So it takes a little bit of work, but it's well worth it when you have an opportunity to save a few $100,000 on interest costs.
Sure it is.
So, and especially on these bonds, you know, not all bonds are callable. You have to wait until they are callable. And, you know, like, for example, the new bonds, when I said that they range between 2% and 4%, It's not likely that we would call a 2% bond, but the 4% bonds, which are earlier in the 10-year cycle, they probably would be callable. But there are a couple 4-year or 4% bonds that are in maybe year 8 that may be callable earlier. We those are all things that we review consistently for opportunities. When it's only a 4%, the rates have to still stay pretty low for a while, right? Because it's not going to be callable as soon as you put it out. It's going to be probably 4 years before anything, 4 to 6 years before anything is possibly callable. But on a 10-year bond, it's there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunities. Our older bonds, most of them were 20-year bonds, so that's why there's greater opportunity there.
Sure.
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor. Just another follow-up. I figure it would be better to address this during department reports because it addresses two things. It speaks to the Lions Club donation and also some comments made by a resident, public speaking.
Okay.
First off, I'd like to thank the Lions Club for that donation and also for that bit of brief history. Greatly appreciated. They mentioned plants, shrubs, signage, and also some flowering trees. Well, most trees flower except for conifers. Is there anyone who could kind of give us an idea of what they intend on planting there?
I think what's happening right now, Mr. Perkins, I think it's just in the early stage. They're making the donation, and then they're going to probably get together with Tim Nolan from Highway and Antonio from City Engineer and maybe Nick Plantis from Parks and make a decision on what would be best suited in the park.
Thank you. And just this one follow-up. And you kind of mentioned already, Tim Nolan and I have had some conversations on trees in the past. We like having those discussions. To address what the public speaker said, there are trees out there now that could use some serious structural pruning. I mean, for example, that conifer across from the old jail, that thing needs to be tightened up. So do those maples in Elmwood Park and a lot of those Zachovia serratas, with that V-shaped kind of form. They tend to be very heavily branched. Those things could use a lot of pruning. So I'd like to have a conversation about how we can maintain what we have, which would quite possibly lead to conversations about what we might need to be planting in the future. General comment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the time.
And what I would tell you, Mr. Perkins, is anytime you could reach out to Tim Nolan or to Antonio Iadarola and have a conversation with them about those trees. It's great that you're observing that, and I'm sure that they'll be happy to look into that for you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yeah, Mr. Rotello.
Thank you. While we're on the subject of trees, I just want to mention there's a monolithic growth of oaks on Oeata that are now dying. One just dropped a sizable, these are city trees, dropped a sizable branch at the fourth house up on the right-hand side that should be taken a look at. We're going to need to address that situation at some point. I don't know what we could do beyond taking them down. The neighborhood doesn't want them down. They want them rehabilitated, but I think the ship may have sailed on that, but they're certainly going to need to be looked at. Mark Miller was keeping an eye on things in the past, and we've got to go forward on that. I did have a follow-up with the Director of Finance, if I may, through the chair. David, you mentioned that we were getting some sub 1% bond sales, which is a shockingly low interest rate. But we keep hearing about these, lumber prices have tripled, and food has gone up, and gasoline has gone up, and there's this general nervousness throughout the country, the world, even about inflation. But you're talking about long-term bonds at really low interest rates. It doesn't appear that the market, the bond market anyway, is buying into that. What's your take on that?
Well, the bond market is a little different than that. It's hard to say. I mean, you know, you've got two schools of thought on that inflation. You know, you got one, you mentioned one of them, you know, it's temporary, and the other says it's going to settle in and stick around for a while. And who knows?
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
And I think what we're seeing is something we haven't seen in quite some time. You know, the price is spiking up, and we haven't seen that in quite a while. And whether it sticks around or not, only time will tell. And I think really it comes down to how will everything else adapt along the way. I mean, you've got a lot of cash out there chasing, you know, a few goods, and that's really what's happening right now. And you've got to get the supply side start cranking out the materials, and then things will be better. But you know, how long it will take for that to happen, I don't know. You know, hopefully things will crank up quickly, and this will be temporary. If it doesn't crank up quick enough, it's not going to be temporary. And we're going to end up with a compounding effect that's going to hurt more than just lumber and gas. And then who knows, you know. But I can tell you, you know, it's great that we get these rates, but we're not getting anything for money in the bank. And I know we have a few bankers on the council, and they'll tell us, you know, cash, having cash in the bank is, you know, soon they'll be charging us to hold cash in the bank.
Listen, that's happened. I mean, that's a really weird one, but that happened last year, the year before in Europe, and also in Japan. I mean, that's a pretty shocking.
It's a real concern. It is, and you know, I think everybody's watching and trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
All right, David. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Your Honor.
This time I'm gonna-
Mr. Mayor, can you hear me now?
Mr. Tabersack, I can hear you.
Okay, I was can ask David a question. I talked to him this afternoon.
So, Mr. Tabersack, I already took a motion and we voted on the department report, so I'm sort of extending out past the meeting. So if you can make it quick, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, okay, well, I had two questions, but okay. All right, just with David, I had asked him the question, what the COVID funds, the recent funds from Washington come to the cities and all, if at some time there would be a report on just how we are using it and how it's affecting the budget. And he told me that this is something that's ongoing, but that he planned in the future to give some sort of report to the council. The other thing is I called Kara Prunty. I don't know if she's on, but I'm just concerned about the Super 8, where it stands. It seems to be in limbo right now. And I've been asked by a number of people that I'm acquainted with because I help out there, you know, what's going on. And my feeling is I would like Kara to maybe tell the whole council she's here what she pretty much told me, and then see if, you know, you can add to it.
Right, so as far as the Super 8, that's still in process. It's still being worked on. They're still before and will be before land use boards here in the city of Danbury for permission to operate the shelter. Right now, they're still working under the current governor's executive orders. And I just have to ask you to stay tuned. There's more stuff in process that's happening every day, and we'll fill you in as we have more information on it.
Yeah, Kara said that we were still paying for the staff there and so forth out of grants that we had. And of course, my wonder was if these grants are starting to run out, then what happens?
Right. So we are actually working with Pacific House right now on a plan to release our employees by the 30th of July. And so our employees will be out by the 30th of July, and they will hire those who they want to keep and will let go who they don't want to keep of the staff. So.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for the problems.
Oh, no, it's okay.
All right.
It's the interweb up there on Great Plain Road. So, folks, I'm going to call for an adjournment, and someone want to make that motion? Mrs. Camisa, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded by who seconded?
Second.
I'll take Mr. McCullough for the second. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night,
Thank you
thanks.
for your patience tonight. Okay.
Okay.
Good night.